Hi everybody, this is Gad Saad. Human beings are a sexually reproducing species that possess sexually dimorphic traits. Sexually dimorphic traits means that for some traits, men and women have innate sex-based differences due to selection pressures, due to evolutionary pressures. So on many things, men and women are identical, on other things, they are not. And the pattern of when they are similar or different is very well, if not perfectly, explained by evolutionary psychology and the evolutionary lens more generally. For those of you who are familiar with my work, you will know that I've written quite extensively about this. So take, for example, something that men and women exhibit some similarities and some differences on. So if you take universal mating preferences, some of the things that men and women desire and their ideal mates are exactly the same. Kindness and intelligence are desired both by men and women and their ideal mates. On the other hand, there are other traits that men uniquely desire in women, or much more so they desire in women than women desire in men. So men place greater premium on youth, on beauty. Women place much greater premium on social status, capacity to engage or to ascend social status. You see this in disparate cultures that couldn't be any more different from one another, and yet you see this consistent pattern of preferences. Now, why am I talking about all this today? One of the traits that certainly women desire in men is masculinity. So, contrary to what we now hear about toxic masculinity, women are not attracted to men who take a fetal position, suck their thumb, are pear-shaped, have nasal voices, who whine and cry when they watch Bridget Jones' Diary, and go into a fetal position because they've put on 2 pounds, and so they have the carton of ice cream to deal with their weight gain. That's not what women are attracted to. Watch romance novels and you'll see that that's the case. The type of men that women fantasize about in romance novels, as depicted in every romance novel that's ever been written, is the exact same archetype. He is ultra hyper masculine. He wrestles alligators on his six-pack and wins. He is not to be tempered other than by the love of this one woman. He's a risk taker, he's brash, he's courageous, he's physically dominant, but yet he is also gentle with this particular woman. I just described every romance novel that's ever been written. So now let's link this to geopolitics. The world is not run by empathy. If we look at the evolution of human history, there are 2 tribes. Tribe A would like to get all the things that Tribe B has, including their beautiful women. But the reason why they can't do it is because there are people in Tribe B, and by people I mean men, who would not be very happy to give up their women, their children, and therefore physical formidability, might, masculinity is part of what oiled the trajectory of human history, just like femininity has, because we are, get ready, sit down, don't get scared, we are a sexually reproducing species that has sexually dimorphic traits. The world is not shaped by tepid, whiny, male fence sitters. So Joe Biden now, all of this introduction is to come to Joe Biden. Joe Biden's handling of Afghanistan is exactly a manifestation of the feminization of the West, right? It is laudable to be a male feminist, but in the negative, pejorative sense of the term. I'm a male feminist in that I believe that men and women should always be treated equal under the law. But that's not what we mean by male feminist now. What we mean by male feminist is someone who rejects, who pathologizes masculinity, right? It is progressive. Read The Parasitic Mind. It is progressive to reject masculinity. When you're dealing with the Taliban are not really strong on toxic masculinity. I mean, at least in terms of ridding themselves of toxic masculinity. They are driven by the following ethos in the Middle East. Might is right. So therefore, instead of whining, groveling, crying, going into a fetal position, being so empathetic, caring so much about the ozone layer. And again, I'm not denigrating the importance of climate change. What I'm arguing is about when you're dealing with geopolitical issues, you always speak softly but carry a really, really big stick. That's the defining dynamics of power that has shaped the entire trajectory of human history from day one till today. But now we've created a society where the zeitgeist is to be engaging in feminist foreign policy. There is no feminist foreign policy. We have Miriam Monsef, the Canadian minister for women's advancement and so on. I think she's an Afghan woman. Sent out a message, a plea to the Taliban, and referred to them as our brothers, because they're her brothers in faith. Therefore, but I thought, by the way, that the Taliban had nothing to do with Islam, so I'm really confused. So when it comes to geopolitical issues, when it comes to Hitler, we had the appeasement strategy that didn't go too well, or we have the strategy of carpet bombing cities. We have the strategy of let's hug the trees, or we have the strategy of we throw 2 atomic bombs on you. Now, does that mean that I'm glorifying violence and I'm orgiastic in my desire to engage in a bloodbath? Of course not. Be peaceful, be diplomatic, but always carry a big stick. The entire world understands this, has understood this since the beginning of time. So, whether you like Donald Trump or not, as for example the lobotomized Malibu meditator who doesn't like him, Donald Trump exudes might, right? He exudes possibly a manifestation of tempered recklessness, if I can say, meaning he puts bad guys on notice. Don't mess with me because I might go eeny, meeny, miny, mo with the red button. That kind of attitude is precisely what keeps really nasty folks in check. So, for example, we could say, if a single hair on a single American or Canadian or Westerner is harmed as we are trying to get them out, you will be meeting a very, very nice firework of 1,000-pound bombs that will turn the Taliban-controlled areas into new arable farmlands. Did you understand what I said, the Taliban? Is there any part of this that you didn't understand? So you see, there is a time to be diplomatic and gentle. When I tuck my children to bed, I'm very loving. When I speak to my wife, I'm very loving. When I communicate with some idiot on Twitter, I could be less loving. If you mug me on the street, I might be less loving. It doesn't mean that I'm violent. It means that I have what's called situational plasticity. I am very kind with my children. I'm very violent to someone who's trying to rape me. So we can be gentle, diplomatic, kind, restrained when engaging in an act of diplomacy, and we can be brutally punishing when someone is messing with us. That's what defines geopolitical realities. Castrated Joe Biden, lobotomized Joe Biden, while some of you progressives think it's laudable that he is so gentle in his speech, does not define how historical dynamics are created or maintained or shaped. The Middle East views the West, and I've heard this because Arabic is my mother tongue. They view the West as, forgive the term, I'm just repeating it from Arabic, as a woman to be mounted. They don't view empathy and gentility and valor and kindness and restraint as laudable features. They view it as weakness. I probably know more about the psychology of the Middle East than all senior advisors in the US military combined. I probably knew more when I was 5 than all of them combined. This is not to denigrate all of the US military, but I'm talking about all of the ultra woke and progressive current military leaders. So to conclude, I hope this wasn't too much of a winding rant. The world is not shaped by weak, pathetic weasels. The world is shaped by people who have honor, who have integrity, but who are also formidable and intimidating when they need to be. Have a good day, everybody. Cheers.